What am I doing? I don't know. You tell me. Yo, you ever watch Sword Art Online? It's an anime that we were all really hyped up for. It was supposed to take place in this, it kind of really helped start this Isekai trend, which is kind of like when you're in another world. And that other world tends to be kind of like living a life in another world, a video game type of world, which really got super popular in part because of SAO and the success of SAO, even though SAO gets a lot of hate. Why is there so much hate for SAO when it was such a big boost to the trend becoming more normalized? Well, it was really hyped up when people were hearing about it. Yeah, we wanted to see this new anime that was going to come out. It was going to be an action based in another world on like a video game life, like WoW, you know, World of Warcraft or whatever kind of RPG life where you get to virtually live in this other world. So we were hyped up to see that kind of stuff that we experience in games in an anime too, and really enjoy how it was going to be visualized and the combat and everything. We were looking forward to it. But when it came out, we didn't really get that. No, it wasn't about that. I mean, even the combat, even the fighting wasn't even that great. There wasn't a lot of it. Now, some people really do think, oh, the fighting was great, but it just was only a little bit. If you're an experienced anime watcher, you would know some good combat when you see it, like something in like Samurai Champloo or many other things. There are a lot of other anime fights and battles you can see that are really well done, instead of kind of like the few seconds of seemingly good combat happening from Kirito in this series. So, in SAO, it follows the main character Kirito and of course the other main protagonist, the heroine, Asuna. And really a lot of people didn't get what they wanted from SAO or what the expectations were built up on it. But I'm going to explain to you not why SAO sucks balls, but why SAO is actually good. You see, SAO is actually good only if you're capable of letting go those expectations. Now, it's definitely in your right to have those expectations. It's not your fault. They kind of gave us that expectation that we were going to see a kind of shonen anime, you know, for young guys who want to see power fantasy anime stuff. If that's what you really wanted, like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto or something, you're not really going to find it in this. And you might have expected it. And it's not, oh my god, the light is not on. Well, that sucks. Okay, I'm doing this one light. Sorry, my lighting in this episode might not be that great. Anyway, so if you're capable of letting go of these expectations, which I completely understand, you're perfectly in the right to have them, but if you're capable, mature enough to be able to be like, okay, I'm not gonna get what I wanted, but maybe there's something still good in here, you could find something actually pretty good with SAO. What is that thing? Look at this not as an action-adventure, isekai, RPG style, whatever, anime, and look at it for what it is. It's a romance anime. It's a romance between the relationship between Kirito and Asuna. Kirito and Asuna's relationship in the season 1 and even season 2 is really cute. I mean, specifically in season 1, you get to see them, how they meet and flirt and how she perceives him and how he's kind of perceiving her, and eventually how they get together. Because a lot of times in a lot of romance things, whether it's you know, Hollywood movies or Bollywood movies or certainly anime, there's a big deal about the characters getting together. Like, it's just so much of a headache. Like, I don't need the girl to be like baka all the time, and that guy doesn't need to be an idiot all the time. Just be forthcoming with your feelings and to get together. Because sometimes I want to experience the happily ever after or the enjoyment that they get when they are together. I don't want to always watch the journey of them finally expressing their feelings for each other and never actually getting to enjoy what they get to enjoy when they are just openly in love with each other. But they did it in SAO. They got in SAO a moment of Kirito and Asuna just being open and kind of having a kind of wedding and being married in their own little house, taking their time off, not doing any battle or anything like that, and even having like a child because they adopted this NPC character. So you get to see them like having a family. And that was really cute and really enjoyable. Of course, it would probably be super annoying if you thought you were gonna expect some great battles and stuff like that. All of this time that they're spending together, enjoying their love together, spending the time together while they're in a game which could potentially kill them if they die in the game, because of course you'll die in real life. That's part of the interesting premise of the show, but they weren't doing any action stuff, so you'd feel like this is just filler. This is garbage filler stuff. I want to get to the action. But it wasn't like that for me, because I was able to let go of my expectations and start seeing how enjoyable their relationship is between Kirito and Asuna. And in that respect, it was a pretty good show. It was a great kind of romance, cutesy type of thing, you know, young lovers meeting each other and being able to enjoy themselves for a moment in a world where, you know, they're freaking out because they could potentially die. But also, it's a world where they don't got to pay no bills, they don't got to go to work, they ain't got to deal with their family bothering them, and a bunch of the other kind of wonderful things that you get when you watch anime or cartoons like that. I mean, I remember being a kid watching Pokemon and wondering, why do I like Pokemon so much, only to realize it's because those kids, Ash don't got to go to school, he ain't got to do no goddamn homework, so, you know, he doesn't have no stress like I do. He seemingly just walks in a world with beautiful blue skies and clouds and somehow gets food and shelter every day with no explanation. He ain't got bills or anything. Anyway, part of that is in this with Kirito spending time with Asuna without any worries of the world, being able to enjoy young love together in a cyber isekai, another world, digital world or whatever. It's kind of cute that they got to have that time together. That was really the great value in this whole season for me. It was really nice to see it. But of course they got to experience that at enough sufficient length for them to realize, hey, you know, we do have something to do. So I could spend all my time here with you forever, but we both mutually agree we gotta do something about this situation we're in. We gotta try and defeat the game and stay alive and risk our lives and risk what we have together. So there is this kind of interesting and cute respect to how they're dealing with their romance between the two characters. And I think that was really great. And if you got that sense from season 1, then you would really enjoy season 2 even more. I just want to add, if you are starting anime, this is a pretty good one to start with. However, there are a couple of things to point out that it is a harem type of anime, meaning, you know, one guy with a lot of potential partners, or in the case of a reverse harem, one girl with a lot of potential guys interested in her, like Kami-sama, which is also another great anime to start with if you're starting anime. I think so. But that's a sort of thing that is going to be happening in these first 2 seasons. I think it's ignorable. It's not too bad. Also, it does have some ecchi elements to it, which is like gratuitous racy stuff, you know, just to please the fans, fan service as you call it, which I did enjoy because I was a young teen at one point in time. But I think that sort of thing does work better with like funny anime, comedic anime, but it felt a little bit out of place when it came to SAO. Like when it does happen in those short moments where they're obviously trying to be a little racy, it's like, it's out of place, man. You didn't need to do that. So just keep that in mind. I don't know about the Gun Gale stuff or whatever, but definitely season 1 and 2 really works off the relationship between Kirito and Asuna mostly. It wasn't great in any of the fights. Honestly, I didn't like any of the fighting. Like the fight scenes didn't even count as great fight scenes to me. They seemed like real cheap stuff. It seemed like cheap fighting in the sense of the old school Dragon Ball Z cheap fighting stuff, when characters just doing repetitive motions back and forth. Like, I don't need to see this type of thing, and then you tell me that, oh, what a great battle. I want to see more technical moves and things that involve actual strategies that I understand. That kind of thing is more interesting to watch or understand, and you didn't really have that. They could have built like a battle system in the game about how you're supposed to use certain products, items, and you know, you're running out of mana or this and that, but you don't really get that. There are other criticisms I have for it, and I'm going to tell you what they are. But keep in mind, for the most part, I had a good feeling about it because of the romance. However, the parts of it that were kind of unforgivable, not only is that you have this expectation where you're going to get this great friggin' action anime and you didn't get that at all, or any kind of power fantasy compared to, say, Dragon Ball Z or anything else. It tried to do something unforgivable to me. Something that I really found cringy and terrible, which was their ending. They tried to end season 1 with this seemingly somber moment with the villain. It's a kind of trope in writing where you get this moment with the villain that you spend not fighting because the fighting's already over, you've already defeated the villain, and you just kind of express them. Sorry, there's a fire truck outside. I don't know if you can hear it. Anyway, you just gotta express a moment with the enemy, just kind of understanding them and giving them some kind of weird sympathetic feeling once you get to see the world from their own perspective. And it's a really great thing to do if you can pull it off convincingly. If you can't just shove it in, it just won't make sense. And it felt like that with this anime. Now somebody might be saying to me, you gotta read the manga, because they're always gonna say that stuff. You gotta read the manga. But that sort of thing should never be an excuse for making something that's supposed to be able to stand on its own anyway. I shouldn't have to read the manga or light novels to make sense of the anime. An anime shouldn't have to rely on the readers also going to the manga to understand what's happening in the anime. If there is something like that where you cannot put something in the anime because it relies on information outside of the anime, it's probably best not to have to put it in there. And then you make the sacrifice of maybe not having something great, so you should have to choose what you put in, but always try to have it be able to be standalone on itself. You should be able to judge movies the same way. You shouldn't have to read all the comics to understand what's happening in a movie. Movies should be standalone. All of these different media that is supposed to represent one story the way it is, even if it's its own storytelling of it, it should be able to make sense, especially if it's its own storytelling of it. So they did that in this with the enemy Kaiba Core. I'm kidding, that's Yugi's enemy. I'll be quite honest with you, I can't remember the name of the main bad guy in Sword Art Online. And you know what, it's because I make these videos sort of off the top of my head. I want these opinions of mine to be real and authentic, as if I'm talking to, and I'm talking to my friends. You're my friend, right? You're my best friend, so like I'm talking to my friend and I'm just trying to tell you what I would tell you if you weren't in a camera form and actually like a person standing in front of me, and how I would tell you this. And I wouldn't have done research, so I didn't do research for this. I'm really trying to just be super authentic. So I can't remember the bad guy's actual name right now, but I'm pretty sure it was something like Kaiba. Anyway, so they didn't really get to have that with that moment. It didn't make sense. Why did you allow people to come into this game of yours and tell people they can come and enjoy this new game, only to tell them that they can never escape, and if they die in the game, they'll die in real life, and the only way out is somebody defeating the game? I don't know. They didn't explain that premise or the desire of the main bad guy to do that in any sort of sympathetic or understanding way, so they don't deserve that somber moment. And how dare they try to force this wonderful type of thing, this wonderful trope that can only be done if done really well. They didn't do it at all, and they should have been well aware of that. The other thing is they did this thing where the hero, and this, I don't like this trope either, but it happens. I guess it's a Jesus Christ type of trope where the hero just comes back to life after death when it should have been an obvious defeat. Neo did it in The Matrix, and it was really explained in The Matrix. They tried to show how he was some kind of phenomenal thing, or at least they tried to explain it to a certain extent. Whether or not you found his explanation convincing, it was still there. But Kirito is also getting killed in the program, but somehow uses sheer will or whatever to come back. They don't actually explain why was he able to break the program, whereas other people couldn't break the program because they weren't as willing or didn't have enough love. Like, it wasn't quite clear. So these are a couple of tropes, somber moment ending and the rebirth thing in the last moment, even after defeat, coming back and defeating the enemy. They didn't give good explanations. They didn't deserve that stuff, and it felt really cheap with what they do. You can't just shove that stuff in without explanation or give it good understanding. So in that sense, SAO was subpar. It wasn't amazingly great of what it should be, but in terms of the romance part of it that they showed, if they bet on that, like if you tell someone this is a romance anime and you could just kind of let go of the expectations you might have of a power fantasy, of a great fighting in RPG, then you might be able to appreciate it for what it's best at, this kind of cute romance they have with these, young adults being romantically involved. That's kind of cute. And in that sense, SAO, it was pretty good.